Hello friends, SentinalhMC here, and welcome back to our ChromatiCraft tutorial series. In this episode we're going to talk about alloying. This is probably going to end up being a long video, so I may end up having to split it into two parts, but we'll see. So in ChromatiCraft you can take metal and different items and you can chuck them together and you can create special ChromatiCraft alloy ingots that you need to use for certain things. And in this episode we're going to go through how to craft each one of those. It gets pretty in-depth. There's some other stuff we have to build in order to do it, in order to get to the very end of it. But we'll go through and we'll see how we get on, alright? So in order to start alloying, you basically just need chroma. You need liquid chroma, and then you need certain items from ChromatiCraft. So you need, for certain ones, you're going to need to find these ores. So I've placed the ores down on top of their ingot. And we'll go from left to right and we'll see what we can get on with. So the very first one that you can make, or the simplest alloy to make, is chroma alloy ingot. I got some right here, chroma alloy ingot. And that's simply crafted using 16 chromic dust and an iron ingot. All you gotta do is throw all that into a pool of liquid chroma. And you'll see that these cool little particles start flying around. Now this does take a little while, but it doesn't seem to take as long as like infusing shards, like boosting shards. I don't think it takes that long, but it takes a little bit, and then it'll pop and we'll get one of these cool little rainbow colory ingots. So while that's going, we'll go on to the next one. The next one is the ender alloy ingot, I think is what it's called. And in order to get that, you need 16 of this ender stone powder, 4 ender pearls, and an iron ingot. Okay, so see, that stopped. It's done now. And now we have a little piece of chroma alloy ingot. So you get ender stone powder from this ender stone, which you find underground. It's an ore, it spawns. It looks like this. Find it, break it, get some ender stone powder. If I go into game mode 0 and I break it, we can see how much we get. We got 1. You're gonna need 16 of it. So, better get going and get mining. Alright, so we're going to throw the enderstone powder into the liquid chroma. We're going to throw the ender pearls in, and we're going to throw in an iron ingot. And then you'll see, again, these particles. So, if these particles aren't flying, you haven't done it right. You maybe don't have enough of a certain thing. But those particles are what tell you that it's working. The next one we've got is this fluidic alloy ingot. You craft this using 16 fluid essence, 3 gold, and an iron ingot. Oh, come on. 3 gold, 16 fluid essence, iron ingot. Now, fluid essence you get from fluid stone. I know. Shocking. I break it, I get 1. So, having fortune on a pickaxe would definitely be very useful for this stuff. You might be able to grind it in a grinder to get more. That seems to be a thing for a lot of these. So there we go. I threw in the fluid, I threw in the gold, and I threw in the iron. Now, if you hit R on one of these, or if you go to the book, if we go to the Chromic Lexicon and we find the page, I want to show you the page where it's at. The page is down here. So if you go straight down until you get to resources and then go to the right, you'll get to rune crafting, and here's where you find the alloying page. The way that you read these recipes is pretty simple. On the right, it shows you the liquid that you need, which is liquid chroma. On the left, it shows you the ingot that you need to get it started, and on top, it shows you the other items that have to be in there in order to do it. So some of these require multiple metals, like this one just required 2 gold, but it requires the 1 iron in order to actually alloy. You're alloying fluid essence and gold into the iron, and that's how it works. So that's how you read that. Resonating ingot, that's what you get from the ender. It's not called ender alloy, that's a different mod. It's a resonating ingot that you get from the ender stone and stuff. Here we have our fluidic ingot right there. And now we can move on to this one. This is the, I remember what this is called. It's called the, where'd it go? Oh, I'm in creative mode, so it just disappeared. It's called the aura something ingot. We'll see it when we craft it here. It's the aura ingot, whatever it is. I want to get rid of these ingots. I don't need them. So this one requires 8 aura dust, which you get, of course, from those aura plants. 8 glowstone dust, standard stuff. 4 nether quartz, 16 redstone dust. And then you throw in an iron ingot. There we go. It's the aura stabilizing ingot. It's an aura transmitting ingot or whatever it's called. We'll see what it's called in just a moment. Okay, so that one's going. Next, we'll take a look at this one. This is the spatial alloy ingot. You have to mine this stuff called voidstone, which you find in the end, because that's why, if you see it, it's inside the endstone style of block. Break it, get one of these spatial rifting powders. So, again, fortune would help. You need 16 spatial rifting powders, 32 glowstone dust, 64 redstone, and stuff's getting expensive, you can see. 4 diamonds, 16 nether quartz, and an iron ingot. Oh, our other one is done. And it is indeed called the aura conducting ingot, so I was kind of right. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and chuck all this stuff in here. So yeah, whole stacks of redstone dust, and it is not cheap. There we go, particles. We get our spatial alloy ingot going. This one over here, this is a ferraxite alloy ingot. In order to make that, you simply need some ferraxite. You need 2 coal, and you need 8 blaze powder. These numbers are required. You need the 16 ferraxite, the 2 coal, and the 8 blaze powder, plus 1 gold ingot. That's what you get to give you one of these. So we'll just chuck that in there, chuck that in there, chuck that in there, chuck that in there. And there we go, particles right there. Now this spatial alloy ingot took a little bit longer, I think, because of how, all the stuff it needed. I don't know, it felt like it took longer. But there you go, spatial ingot. And this is used for, various things. I can't hit U on it because a lot of that stuff doesn't work. So ferraxite, if you recall, looks like this. It's fairly common in the overworld, just in the stone. It's pretty easy to find, especially when it's dark, because this orange stuff here it looks like this no matter what the light level around it is. So it'll stick right out like a sore thumb. See, this one took a lot less time. And this is your ferraxite alloy ingot. Alright, cool. Now we've got this one. It's called the radiating ingot, or the radiative ingot. And this one requires 16 transmissive dust, 8 redstone dust, and a gold ingot. So we'll chuck the transmissive dust in here, chuck in the redstone dust, and throw in a gold ingot. And there we go. Now, the last one I've got over here is called a chromastone ingot. Now this is a really high-end thing because you actually require one of every single ingot that we just crafted. Spatial, ferraxite, chroma, aura conducting, resonating, fluidic, and radiative. You also need 8 emeralds and an 4 obsidian, but you also need something else. And in order to get that something else, we're going to have to craft a whole nother... we're going to have to craft a multi-block structure and a whole nother thing, and we're going to have to use that. Okay, so there we go. A radiative ingot. And this stuff is all used for various things in ChromatiCraft. Okay, so if we want to craft this chromastone, we got to come over here, because what we need to craft is something called an infusion stand. Alright? Because we need to get something called an iridescent crystal chunk. And in order to get an iridescent crystal chunk, you have to get iridescent crystal shards. And in order to do that, we need the infusion stand. So the recipe for the infusion stand is simply an item casting stand in the center. And then you just need to take and put chroma alloy ingots. So you got to craft yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chroma alloy ingots, and then put them in your infusion area. Alright, so I think we go like that, and then we do that, and that. If I got that right. I did not get that right. They do not go in the very bottom. They go like that. So that's the recipe right there. And you can see we can now cast the infusion stand. Boom, there it is. So there's our infusion stand. I already had like a couple of them. but you need to build a multi-block structure around it, and this is what that multi-block structure looks like. It's pretty easy to build, so I'll just go ahead and build another one for you. So the way that it works, the way you build this thing, we'll just find like a little bit of clear ground right here. We'll just get rid of our transmutation flame. So all you gotta do, the first step is to place down crystalline stone. So what you do, what I find the easiest way to do it is to just place it like this, alright? Leave those gaps right in the middle, and then connect these sides together like this. And this is obviously in the book at the bottom under multi-block structures. So this is what you want it to look like, alright? Doesn't matter what's in here, okay? In the middle, doesn't matter what's there. Take crystalline stone bricks, okay, the bricks, and place on top of that. And then you have to go, and we'll just go like that, because you need to completely surround this in a ring of the bricks. Okay? Nope. Surround it in a ring of bricks. Okay? Then you're going to place your infusion stand right in the center. Then you need to grab liquid chroma, because you have to make sure that every single square in this section here has a source block, or a full block of liquid chroma. Make sure you click with a bucket of liquid chroma in every single bit here, because you need to make sure that every last bit has it, or it won't work. Okay, there we go. Now what you do is you stick stuff in here. Now what you stick in here is raw crystal. So we made raw crystal in a previous episode where you can take a crystal shard of any color and you can combine it with 4 purification powders, which you get from these rock flowers, right? In order to get 2 of these raw crystals, it takes all the power energy out and makes it a blank slate, all right? Because this is how we get to, if we keep going over, the iridescent crystal chunk that we need. So I highly recommend, or it's recommended, that you do an entire stack of this at a time, because here's the thing. Once this is over, it's going to use up this entire moat of liquid chroma. So you can do a whole stack at once, or you can do 1 crystal, but I'm pretty sure regardless of which one you do, it's going to use the entire moat. So it'd be a huge waste of liquid chroma to just do 1 or 2 of these. This is a really cool effect though. I really like this. I mean, look at that. That's neat. And the sound effects are cool too. This doesn't actually take very long. It's really hypnotizing to watch as well. I enjoy it. Yeah. See, it ate the entire pool, and we only got 1 shard. Whereas, if we take this 63, I mean, it's 63 now, but assume it's an entire stack. See, you can right-click it with a stack, and it puts the whole stack in there. This is going to use up the same amount of liquid chroma, but it's going to give us an entire stack of these iridescent crystal shards. So it's a much better deal. At the very least, you need to do 4 of them, because you need 4 for this recipe, and so you know, it would be a waste to just do 2. At least do 4, but an entire stack is recommended. I guess rock flowers are really important. You're probably going to need to do a lot of hunting for those. There we go. I like how it ends with a do. Okay, so now you got that. Iridescent crystal shards. We can go ahead and we can craft ourselves the iridescent crystal chunk. We need a binding crystal, which we took a look, which we looked at in a previous episode because we needed it there. Put it in the middle, and then in our infusion altars stands, we need the 4 iridescent crystal shards, 1 transmissive dust, 1 focal powder, and 2 resonant dust. I've got transmissive dust. I've got focal powder. Now this resonant dust you actually get from these things called element bulbs. Element bulbs are a flower, and you can find them. I placed these ones, but you can find them growing on the underside of leaves. They grow on the underside of leaves, so I would you know, check out an area with lots of trees if I was looking for that. So I'm going to place it in the corners, and then we'll just take our iridescent crystal shards and place them just like so. And now we can craft ourselves an iridescent crystal chunk. Doesn't take very long. There we go. So now that we have our iridescent crystal chunk, we can go over here and we can create ourselves a some chromastone. Right. So we just need to, well, first I need to get all this junk out of my hands so I can actually put all the items I need in there. So, spatial ferraxite, chroma alloy, aura conducting ingot, resonating ingot, fluidic ingot, radiative ingot. Okay, so one of each ingot. Bloop, 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 bloop. We'll need 8 emeralds, 4 obsidian, and our iridescent crystal chunk. Oh, some of those didn't go in there. Come on. Darn it, 2 of them didn't go in. I'm not going to jump in there and grab it all back. I think I'm missing something. I'm probably missing something. Do-do-do-do-do. Doodle-doo. Boop. Chroma alloy. 4 obsidian. Iridescent chunk. 8 emeralds. Radiative aura. Ferraxite. Resonating. You know what? Oh, there it goes. So it didn't do the okay, so it didn't do the particles like the other ones did, or at least I couldn't see them if they did, but it did work. So we had it right. And there you go. Chromastone. This is like the top end alloying. There is something else you can do here, which involves taking crystal dust and a memory crystal and duplicating a memory crystal, but memory crystals are something we haven't talked about yet. There we go. Chromastone. High-end component. As you can see, it takes a lot of work to get just one chromastone. So, yeah. This is a high-end item. But there we go. That's the alloying stuff. Alright, so we've gone through everything that in the alloying section, which remember is under resources. There it is, alloying. And, yeah. Raw metals can be combined to yield materials of superior properties. Imbuing things with magic. Yep. So you won't need to build the infusion stand until you want to get chromastone, because all of these other ones can be had without chromastone. I mean, without the infusion stand, but we had to build that in order to get the chromastone. But this is it. This is alloying. So that's how you make all the alloys. And yeah, if we go into the book here and we look under this section, we can see the alloys right here. So we just crafted all of them. Pretty cool. And you're going to need them for various things. And we'll take a look at that in the future. So yeah, now that we know how to create all these materials, in future when we're doing these videos and we use these materials, I'll try and remember to reference back to this video in case you you know, haven't seen it yet. But well, I mean, you're seeing it now. But yeah, this is going to be the. I'm not going to talk about how to craft these items again in a future video. I'm just going to refer back to this one. But yeah, there you go. That's alloying. So that didn't take all that long, so this will just be its own video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Drop a like down below if you enjoyed it and comment. I like to read your comments. It's one of my favorite things to do, is reading comments. I don't always get to reply to them, but I do read them now that I'm so busy. But I do get the day off. By the time you're watching this, it's my day off, so finally, I haven't had one for a long time. Thanks again. I'm SentinalH, and I'm signing out.